What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside Lines Podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson. Or should I say, Happy Burloween? Yes, that's right. This past weekend, we celebrated Burloween, which is the Burleson's adult version of Halloween. My husband, Nate, and I threw an epic Burloween bash. And when I say it is so fun, every single adult is required to channel their inner child and creativity and dress up in a costume. You cannot get in without a costume. We've been doing this since Nate played in the NFL, and it's always been so fun to get adults to come together and be kids again. And I just love seeing the costumes. So shout out to all the people that came and dressed up. It was a blast. And this year, Nate and I decided to go all out. We painted ourselves blue and morphed into avatars. It was so fun and so worth it. I would say it's our best costumes thus far. Most importantly, we ate, we drank, we danced the night away. And at the end of the night, everyone voted on the best individual costumes and the best couples costumes. Now, we don't include ourselves in the votes because it's our party, so that would be kind of weird, but that does not stop us from dressing up. We're going to dress up. We're going to go hard, period. Okay, so let's talk about the individual winners. The individual winners this year were Frankenstein. He came with the full outfit. I have to show you all the picture. It was so dope. And the Australian Olympic hip hop dancer. Hilarious. She came with the entire hip hop dancing outfit from head to toe that the lady performed at the Olympics. It was hilarious. And then the top couples costumes were Run DMC and Salt and Pepper. We all know those old school songs, as well as Thundercats. Oh, if you know, you know. We had Amber and Cece Sabathia dressed up as the Thundercats, and it was epic. Y'all, we had so much fun, and I cannot wait to see who tops it next year. Okay, let's talk some football. It's been a little crazy this week. The Raiders have fired offensive coordinator coach Luke Getsy, quarterback coach Rich Scangarello, and offensive line coach James Craig after an embarrassing blowout this past weekend. And also the Saints fired Coach Allen after their 7th loss in a row, which drops their record to 2-7. And on the flip side of that, on a positive side, the Washington Commanders are now 7-2 for the first time since 1996. That's crazy. I was in high school then. But to think that is unreal. And then let's talk about the NFC North, because the NFC North is a little shaky right now. I think all teams are at 500 except for the Cardinals, who just went up to 5-4, and the Seahawks are right there at 4-5, so they have some time to redeem themselves. I'm looking forward to see who pulls away that second half of the season. But let's talk about the best running back in the NFL right now, Derrick Henry. He is ranked first in the NFL in rushes at 168, rushing yards at 1,052, and rushing touchdowns at 11, y'all. Talk about MVP status. There is no one out there killing it like Derrick Henry, so we have to give him his shout out. And I'm excited to see what happens this second half of the season, so stay tuned. Okay, everyone, let's get into our conversation with the amazing Amanda Taney. On the show today, we have a former tech industry professional now embracing the role of a stay-at-home mom to her beautiful 2 babies. She is enthusiastic about staying active and spending quality time with her family. And she is also a Ladies Playbook ambassador who enjoys exploring new business ventures alongside her partner, current 10-year NFL vet, fullback, and entrepreneur Keith Smith. Amanda Taney, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so happy that you are here. I want to talk about, before we get into, your life and who you are, we have to talk about what happened to you as a Ladies Playbook ambassador when you were coming to the retreat in Nevis.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
It is definitely
For
a
the
story.
books.
I'll start it, but you have to bring it in because from your perspective, like I know you were feeling so many different emotions at the moment, but long story short, we all talked about flying into Miami, and then from Miami, because everybody was kind of everywhere. There's some people in Atlanta, some people in Dallas, people were from Houston all over, and they met in Miami, and then we're going to take the flight straight into Nevis.
Yep.
So Amanda sends us a group text saying, hey, my flight's delayed. It's going to be close, but I think I can make it. We're like, whoop. And everybody was like, you can make it, Amanda. We'll hold the plane for you.
Yes.
And so she lands, and as she is landing, they're already boarding.
Yes.
And so I know you had texted and you were like, what did you say? You said that the train, was it the train that broke down?
Yeah. So where I was landing in Miami was on literally the end of one side of the airport, and we were taking off to Nevis on the complete opposite side. So there was a train that runs, the whole length of the airport. And ironically, the train was broken where I got off, like at my gate. So I was like, okay, guys, I got my running shoes on. I'm going to have to sprint, but I'm coming. I'm going to be there. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Everyone was cheering you on. Like the group chat was lit. They were like, come on, Amanda, run. You can do it. You can do it. And then they were like, hurry. They said that they're going to close the doors. And you're like, I'm coming. I'm coming.
I was so sure I was going to make it too.
You get there, and right as you get there, they close the doors.
Yeah. Well, the girls had told me in the group chat I was literally like, I'm at, I remember, I feel like I'll never forget this. The gate that you guys were leaving out of was gate 51. I was at like maybe 48 or something. I was like, I'm almost there, guys. I'm running. And one of the girls was like, it's over. They gave your seat away. And one of our other ambassadors, Sheree, they sat the person that they gave my seat away to next to Sheree. And so Sheree's kind of going, who, by the way, I had never met before this. And she was fighting for me like I was her family member.
This is my
literally.
sister.
Yes. Like you would have thought I was the closest person to her. So shout out to Sheree, because I mean, that's a testament to the sisterhood that you're creating. So yeah, I just had to plug that real quick, Atoya. But
thank you.
But yeah, she's arguing. I mean, not really arguing, but kind of like, just like, listen, like this is she's in our group. We're going here for a speaking engagement. She has 2 little kids. There's only, X amount of flights. Well, actually, there's only 1 flight out to St. Kitts a day. So, she's telling her all of this stuff, and the other girls are like sending pictures like, look, she's really going up there again to talk to the flight attendants, And they were just like, there's nothing that can be done. They gave the seat away. It's over. But what's so crazy is that you guys were waiting at that gate for 45 more minutes. Like I was just looking at you guys like, wait for me.
You could see the plane. You're like, I don't even know why they closed it, because they haven't even taken off. They're just sitting there.
We still there was still what the gate agent told me was that if within the 15-minute window comes of scheduled takeoff time, they are allowed to book you or
give your seat away.
To give your seat away. What's the craziest part about it is that I was incoming on another airplane on that same airline. So from what I've been told by many people, employees, another one of our LP girls is Paige. Her mom is a flight attendant, researching, these airlines are supposed to know when they can expect other airplanes coming in and when they're delayed, etc. So it's just you have to wonder if
and the fact, I think that not only did they tell them that her connecting flight was delayed, she's just landed, she's running. I think the disappointing part for me with American is they gave it to their own employee.
Right, I know.
It's really American. So she's landed, she's running to get here, and you give it to
you had the heads up, you had the warning.
Yes.
You knew.
Yes. You knew.
And it's not like I just woke up late. I was irresponsible. Yeah. Exactly. I know. It was super, super, super disappointing. And since then, in even trying to like talk to them about, you know, some sort of compensation back.
Yeah, because what people don't know either.
They could care less.
And they lost your bag. They lost your
entire
bag.
trip. The entire
like American.
trip. After sending us around the world a little bit, me and T, our other LP sister, me and T going to Puerto Rico, finally St. Kitts, they lost my bag the whole trip. But the girls came through, so I really can't complain. Honestly, it seemed like it worked out in my favor because the way that people were complimenting the fits, I was like, wow.
Your fits were fire. I was like, you didn't bring that? You're like, no.
The girls really came through for me. I mean, again, another testament just to the sisterhood, like, because, you know, the majority of the girls that was the first time we'd ever met. And people are literally giving me the shirts off their back. Like, that's amazing.
That's
so
dope.
Yeah.
And you know, the funniest thing about T is like, we're going through all this and we're cheering you on, and we find out the doors closed. Then after all that, T's like, hey, I landed.
Where are you
I'm on my way.
Where are you guys at?
We good? And someone had to break the news to her.
Bless her heart. Oh my gosh. That's my sister for life now. After that little thing that we experienced together, like nothing can happen to me, and we are a force to be reckoned with now. Like, we can get through anything. Exactly.
And you know, that's what I want to talk to you and T about. I felt like even through all of that, everything that you went through, you know, having to go to a whole nother country outside of Miami you guys went to Puerto Rico, then Puerto Rico to St. Kitts, like, to do all that, to not have your bag, and you came in with such good energy. You could have easily been mentally defeated, but you both came in with amazing energy, ready to have a good time, and we did. We turned up.
We did. We embraced every single second of that trip that we had left, because, I mean, how could you not? We were in paradise. We were literally
real talk.
That was a true gift. Seriously, experiencing Nevis, the people of Nevis, just. Obviously, like I said, I mean, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't gone there, you need to.
You need to go to Nevis. We stayed at the Four Seasons. The staff was incredible. They were so amazing and kind and helpful.
I've really never collectively, as a group of people, really come. And Keith and I have done a little bit of traveling, not like a whole lot, but that service, just like, and it wasn't even it was genuine. It wasn't even just like, it never came across as like, well, we got to show up for work and, you know, be nice to these people. No, it was like their true culture is like cultivating that like support and just genuine love, going to see the little girls with their dancing. Like, it starts clearly from a very young age over there. So
I agree.
Yeah, the people of Nevis are just amazing.
You land there on that island and you feel like your family. You really, really do. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So shout out
what's
to
they're
Nevis.
saying? You're only a stranger once.
Once. Exactly. Yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready to get into who Amanda Taney is?
Let's get into it.
Yes, because I feel like for you, you know, you want to rewind a little bit and talk about you are in the tech world, and there aren't a lot of female techs out there. It's, you know, it's slowly but surely, you know, getting there, but there's not a lot. Tell me about your tech venture, how you got started and how it came about. Yeah.
So honestly, how it got started, I guess it was just in God's plan from the beginning, obviously, but I didn't have any dreams or aspirations to be in the tech world. I just honestly am so lucky and fortunate enough to have landed there, because it is such like the tech community for me. Like, still to this day, I left the industry probably about 3 years ago now, ever since I became a mom. And the way that I'm still connected to so many of my colleagues, you know, like, just people always like, whenever you're ready to come back, like, there's a seat for you. And just like the way that they are such a supportive community, no matter how much time it's been, is like really been cool. And then, before I even went into the tech world, I was actually a lawyer's assistant. I thought I was going to go like the law school route, and I was working my way through school, like, to help support like that whole journey financially and stuff. So I was working under a lawyer for about 6 years. I thought that that's what I wanted to do. And then, you know, connections and God, really, like, the tech industry job situation just kind of like fell into my lap. So I mean, I took it in stride. I interviewed, I got this amazing job, and I worked with really great people that, that I read this thing the other day that was like, people don't leave jobs, they leave like crappy coworkers or like something like that. And it really resonated with me because I was just like, wow, like this was a big part of the reason why I stayed, like I wasn't tech savvy. I didn't have this huge passion coming into it, but it was like the people that were there. It was like, wow, like I want to learn from you, and like how supportive and stuff that they were. It was just like, I want to be a part of this culture. So, I became specifically what I did, I sold software to the government, specifically the military. So I worked with a lot of military personnel, which is, the military also is a very male dominated industry, similarly to tech. So, I mean, I'm a competitive person by nature. I think I've just always been like that. I don't know. It might be the fact that I'm one of 8 kids. It's like you're fighting for your life, for attention, for, anything, everything. But so it just might be in my nature that way. But I really I'm so grateful for my time. I worked in the industry for about 8 years before I stopped. And it was just so cool because tech is obviously, it's like always evolving. There's always a new something that you're learning about. So it was cool because it just felt like you were always achieving learning something new, able to, especially like working with the military. It's like the stuff that you're selling is like literally helping, our military, like, function and stuff. So, that's what I did until God just called me to stay at home with the babies. And now I'm in this line of work.
And that it's a lot longer hours in this line of work, man.
Oh my, it's
what
like
would you say?
there are no off hours. Like it does not matter what time of the day it is, but yeah.
What would you say? So as a stay-at-home mom now, leaving the workforce, coming into motherhood, what would you say as a mother was the biggest surprise or shocker for you?
So I was actually, for some reason, I was just thinking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. I am a very routine schedule person. Okay. In the NFL world, it's like God was like, haha, I'm going to show you have to be a different way, like a little more go along with the flow, right? Yeah. And something, I don't know why I was thinking about this the other day, but it came up. I think it was something on Instagram that I might have seen, but something about the time management of trying to get your kid, when there's something to do, trying to plan around how much time you need to get ready, how much time they need to get ready, if they need to eat, like factoring in that time, if they're going to spit up, if they're going to have a blowout when you're walking out the door, like that was one of the hardest things for me. And I don't know why. It's like, I always felt like I gave myself enough time. And every time that I planned it that way, something came up. She would have never spit up in her life at that point or something. And that as I'm walking out the door to like rush to training camp or something, be there on time, it's like something like that happened. So I think like the time management and like trying to, and I say that with a grain of salt because it's like, you obviously know, Atoya, like, it's like, there's only like, you really, when it comes to kids, it's like, you can only plan so much. Like you cannot if 10 days in a row goes by when they wake up at this time and they need to eat at this time and they usually have 2 diaper changes by this time. It's like by that 11th day, it's going to look completely different. Like something is going to change. So I think the biggest surprise for me was like, which is silly, like in hindsight, it's like, how could you not think that, things were going to be a little, I expected them to be different, but it's like the lack of control you have over.
Yes, that's what it is.
Timing is like, ooh, that was a big, and I don't think that you can understand it until you're actually going through it. Like I can tell my sister who's pregnant, like, oh, get ready. But just it's like until, So I think that was the biggest surprise for me, although there have been many.
I it's funny you say that. It takes me back. I remember when Nate was in training camp and I had Nate at this point, and I, someone always told me like, always make sure you have an extra outfit in their diaper bag. I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. Boom, done. Extra diapers. Okay, done. So we were on our way to training camp. I'll never forget this. And little Nate he's young. He's an infant, had a blowout.
Oh.
So I had to clean him up, to your point. I had to pull over.
Yep.
I was like, and clean him up, put the change of clothes on him. I'm like, okay, we're good. So then we get there. Training camp was far at this time. So we had like another 30 minutes.
Okay.
We get there. I nurse him, grabbing everything, walking in. He has another blowout. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I only had one pair, one outfit.
Yes.
What am I going to do? So I had to change him, clean him up. I had to take his clothes to the bathroom, rinse them, like scrub them, put them in the blower where you dry your hands, blow dry them. It was the craziest time. And
did you even make it to training camp?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. Okay. But when I say what I ended up doing was, like, I was just trying to blow dry it. At that point, I was like, oh my gosh, Toy, this is not going to work. Just put the shirt on him, put the diaper on him, put the cute little football shoes on him, put him in I had put him in the carrier so his little naked legs were hanging out. And I was just like, we're just going to have to wing it. Because at this point, I can't control it. You want to, but you can't. Kids are their own little humans, and they will let you know.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And they'll never let you forget it either. Yep. Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that was like my welcome to motherhood, where I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be nuts.
And when you think that you're prepared, you're not prepared. And like, you just still figure it out. Like,
you figure it out. And so, like, all the books, throw them away.
Yes.
Certain things that they're not going to prepare you for. Just
the experience.
Just always know you're not alone.
Yes.
We all go through it.
Yes.
And I think the other side of it that a lot of us don't talk about, Amanda, is, you know, for us as women, like, we know the babies are their own little humans and they're going through all the little things that they're changing and going through, but we're also changing as women. What was the hardest part for you after you had your baby? Did you like have any like hormonal changes? Like, what was the experience like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So, I had our babies back to back. So I had our first, and then when she was about 7 or 8 months old, I found out I was pregnant again. So I tend to say and feel like after my first postpartum, I don't know, there was just like, it's just like that first baby, like heaven, bliss, if you will, that you're in, that I was just like, I totally embraced just the baby. Like, I was infatuated with her. I was obsessed with her. I was happy about like, just like God giving me this, everything. Exactly. So with that said, I mean, I think maybe I just like choose to remember all the good because, or I'm ignorant to the fact that like, maybe if you ask Keith, he could like side eye, like, you definitely had hormonal changes. But like the first postpartum, I feel like was relatively like, I felt mild, still kind of like normal. Yeah. And then the second, when I had our second, I don't know if like other circumstances also like just went into it. The fact that I had a freshly 1-year-old and then a newborn baby. Keith was in the middle of training camp, so he wasn't at home. You know, those things make things hard anyways. Yeah. However, I do think that, like my postpartum with K3 was like way harder on me. I could like I honestly felt there were times where I felt like a prisoner in my own body. Like, I know that like, I'm aware that like hormones change when, in postpartum and luckily I feel like in this day and age where like social media is like blowing up and postpartum awareness is much more like accepted and talked about and things like that. I feel like thank God I had that because I could kind of like know that something wasn't wrong with me, but I was like, something is different. And I knew that. So, I struggled a lot with my second postpartum. I was never diagnosed or anything with like postpartum depression or anxiety, but I definitely feel that I had some of that, and that was definitely challenging. I mean, like your life changes in all the ways when you have kids, and then adding another one and stuff like that, and then your body and everything. So that was quite the journey.
For those women that are listening that maybe they just had a baby and they're feeling something, what could you tell them? Like, what were your symptoms where you felt like, something's not right? What was it for you that you recognized?
So there was a couple of things. Mostly I was just so short fused. Like in general, I might be like a little bit fiery like that anyways. However, like I think that just increased for sure, like that short fuse in me and having like some postpartum rage. And then also, for me, it was like, I was so anxious about just everything. Like I would truly be scared to go to the grocery store because I felt like anxiety around, okay, I'm by myself. I'm in a vulnerable state. Like I have to protect these kids. Like somebody is going to get me. Like I was just like, or like just anxious, like everything, like no matter what it was, with the babies, without the babies. So like it took a toll on, you know, our relationship. It took a toll on like me as I showed up for the kids and stuff like that. But to new moms, like I would just, you know, I think that a lot of people's postpartum, I don't want to call it depression, but like postpartum, like the things that can happen to them. I just would, you know, just being aware and conscious of what seems different, like it's okay and it's gonna end. And I think that that's what the scariest part for me was, that I truly felt trapped. Like, am I ever gonna feel better? Like it was 6 months, it was a year, and I was still breastfeeding. So apparently, like I heard from like doctors and research and stuff like that, that your basically postpartum hormones can keep going as long as you're breastfeeding. So like in my instance, I think that that was a contributing factor, and it's something that I would still make the sacrifice to do, just because that's, you know, our choice as parents. But just it was hard, it was ugly and beautiful at the same time.
I didn't realize that, you know, nursing is what is part of the reason that postpartum lasts longer,
because
but it does make sense.
Yeah, your body is like producing that, and like you think about it, like it, you know, it's like your body knows that it needs to be basically giving life to your offspring. And so I don't know, it just and that was another thing. Like, so a lot of people breastfeed and all their weight comes off. Well, then I learned on the flip side, which I was expecting, I'm like, oh, I'm going to snap back. Like, this is great. I'm going to be, you know, I'm breastfeeding for, I don't care how many years. Like, I will do this until I'm snapped. And for me, it was like, until I stopped breastfeeding, I didn't lose a single pound. I, no matter what my diet was, no matter what my workout regimen was, like I didn't lose a single pound. It was crazy. So your body can like think that it needs to hold on to fat, I guess, when you're breastfeeding. And I guess that's just what my body decided it was going to do. So yeah, a small sacrifice.
Well, because you look amazing now.
Thank you.
What is it for you that helped you to see the light at the end of the tunnel when, you know, at one point you couldn't see it? What was it that helped you through postpartum?
So definitely, first and foremost, just leaning on my faith for sure. I was born, thank God, I was born into a family with two believers. So like from the beginning, like our faith has been instilled in us. I went to Christian school and we were raised in the church and everything like that. So like first and foremost, it was like, I could kind of look at what was happening around me and know what I was feeling inside and these ugly thoughts and everything like that. But it was like, I also knew like the promises that God said and what God says is to be true and everything like that. So I was kind of able to like almost have like outer body experiences of like, might be what I'm going through. And I might not want to open a devotional or the Bible or talk to somebody that I know is going to be an encouragement in that regard. But it's like taking this necessary steps to like do the things that I knew were good for me despite not wanting to do them. So first and foremost that, and then more recently, this took me a little bit longer, but getting back into, speaking of like bodies and fat and everything like that, getting back into a routine where I was active again, really kind of, I think that was like the nail in the coffin for me that like got me over like that buried all of like everything that I was feeling, everything that I was, you know, experiencing and stuff was just like getting active, getting back into a routine in the gym and feeling good about myself and stuff like that. Those two things like really just carried me for sure.
Yeah, that's actually really good. I think to your point, you do have to have the power that you believe in bigger than yourself. Because in those moments, you need something else. Like, if, you're not enough, and neither is anyone else. No one can do anything. So, and then also working out, I don't know what it is, if it's the endorphins released. I don't know what it is, Amanda, but it makes afterwards you feel like a gazillion bucks. You're like, there's nothing can get better.
You down. Oh my, walking, as soon as that clock hits that the workout is done, it's like, oh, I could do anything. Anything. Oh yeah. It's night and day.
And fitness has always been important to you.
Yes.
Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. So I grew up playing sports. Like I said, I'm one of 8. My dad was a big avid sports fan, and then like he coached sports and stuff like that. And then I had 2 older brothers and 1 little brother at first. So like I was like kind of surrounded by boys. So I was like this little tomboy girl that loved sports, that loved to be around her brothers and like compete. And that's what I mean. I think it started from a very young age and stuff. So yeah, I played sports all the way through college. So it was something I think I took for granted because it was such a part of my life, like just for kind of no reason almost. Like it was just, that's like part of who I was, like my identity. When I had our first baby, well, half of my pregnancy, I had to be like on a semi bed rest because there was like some health concerns there. And I feel like from that point, and then having her, and I was just like, oh, I'm just like so infatuated with my baby. It was so easy to like forget, like, I got to take care of myself too, like I'm so obsessed with taking care of her that, and then I had the second one like not that long later. So it was just like, I would dabble here and there, but I really think I really took it for granted, just the movement period, and like how good it made me feel. And now that I'm back, it's like, even if I was to have another baby, it's like, I think it would be completely different pregnancy wise, postpartum wise, just like how connected I am with movement, and like no matter what that looks like, a weightlifting workout, a Pilates class, a walk in nature, like all of it. I'm just like, that's just like my thing now. So, and it's been really cool because, speaking of our, ambassador sisters, like now we're kind of like, there's a group of us that have just come together that are like trying to be like the active fit girlies group. So it's like, I have even more of a community. If I was to get pregnant or like try and fall off, it's like, now I have these accountability partners that are like, we're sending pictures to the group chat. We're, just sending motivating things. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I love to hear that. I love it. When you think about fitness, you talked about playing sports in college. What was the sport that you played in college?
I played volleyball, which is crazy because I'm 5'3", so I'm not a big,
what position were you?
I was a libero. So the defensive specialist, the one in the back, the one with the different color jersey. Falling all over the ground.
Would dig all those balls up. Like,
I mean, it's the most fun. Didn't you say Mia plays, right? Volleyball?
Yeah, Mia plays. She loves it.
I mean, it is just like a fun sport. Like, I feel like since coming into the NFL world, like prior to Keith, I went to such a small Christian school growing up that we didn't even have a football team. So like, yes, my brothers, they're football fans, but it was like, I didn't even bother like to even learn anything about it. Cause it's like, it wasn't in front of me. And by the time I went to college, like it, you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't an interest. And I feel like like people can either be like, that sport is so boring. Like the games are so long. Like, you don't know the positions, you don't know the rules, like whatever, but volleyball, like how quick, fast paced it is. Like, it's just fun. Like
it's so fun.
Does Mia love it?
I remember Mia loves it. She had played tennis before.
Okay.
And then I'll never forget her 7th grade year. She said, Mom, I want to try out for the volleyball team. I said, okay, absolutely. Great. And she tried out her 7th grade year. She made the team. Loved it. And then her 8th grade year, she played again, and she tried out for a club team. And so that was our first year of club this past summer.
That's awesome.
And so now she is in 9th grade. She's about to, she's starting 9th grade for school, and she's playing JV volleyball. She's obsessed.
That's amazing. Is she still playing club?
Yeah, so she tried out for a club. She made a club teams, but they don't start now until you try. It's interesting. You try out here like towards the end of summer.
Yeah.
And you go through I don't remember this growing up, but then you go through your volleyball season.
Yeah.
And then you start club like November. December.
Yeah. I think that's how I remember it for us too. And then the tournaments, just tournament after tournament.
And then it's nonstop.
Yes. It's exhausting for the player and the parent, I'm sure.
Yes. I remember when I found out that Mia, like I said, this was her first year playing club. This past summer, they had a Memorial Weekend tournament, and I was like, "Wait, what?
Yeah, wait.
I gotta be in the gym all weekend,
all holiday weekend."
It was crazy, but you know what? I had so much fun.
Did you
cheering them on, and then watching because there was so many different. There's different ages, so you had 14U, 15U, 16, 17. So you got to sit and watch these girls fly. It was so fun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because I had, to your point, I had two boys first. Yep. So with them, it's like football, basketball, AAU basketball. We traveled and did that.
Yep.
And so doing volleyball, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be like? I'm obsessed. Absolutely love it.
It's such a fun sport. I mean, I wish I started playing it younger. I think I know it was freshman year of high school that I started playing, I think, or maybe it was 8th grade year. But I don't know. Obviously we're not
as big as it is though. I feel I'm older than you, so
no,
I don't
think it was either. Mm-mm. I mean, maybe on the West Coast, but I'm from the East Coast.
On the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Not back in my day, but I'm older.
Not really, not that
so,
much.
I say that to say they did have volleyball, but they, you played at school and then that was it. There was not club and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's intense now. It's fierce. Yeah. These women athletes, amazing. Expensive.
I loved watching. It's so expensive. I love watching the Olympics. Volleyball was so fun. Not just volleyball, in the gym, but they had the sand volleyball, the beach volleyball.
Yes.
It was so fun. I loved it. Me and Mia were like
that. I don't know if you've ever tried it. I mean, just
forget about it.
Trying to run in the sand, move around in the sand, those.
Yeah. So hard.
The talent is crazy.
It really is crazy. Okay, so I need to know, you got to tell the story of how you and Keith met.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we actually met in Vegas.
Okay,
which
what happens
surprises
in Vegas?
A lot of people because it's who goes to Vegas and meets their soulmate? Well, we do. So we met in Vegas. It was actually Memorial Day weekend. So 6 years ago, this past Memorial Day weekend. And I had just, it's a funny story because it's kind of full circle. I had moved from the DMV. I'm from Maryland, was working in Virginia at the time. I moved to Atlanta 3 weeks prior to Memorial Day weekend. Just on a honestly act of faith, I felt a conviction from God, just spread my wings. I'd always been a homebody. I'd always lived at home, just move to a different city. I had a friend at the time that was down for it. I worked from home in the tech world and she had a flexible job. So we picked Atlanta for no reason. It was far enough from home, but close enough, whatever. So we go there, we meet some girls the first week that we're there. And basically we just kind of hit it off. And one of them was why don't you come to Vegas with us? Just get a flight. We have a place to stay. Just come. And I was like, okay, well, I've never been to Vegas for fun or anything. I had been for a work convention that I didn't even see the outside of the hotel from. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll go. We go. This was on a Saturday. We show up to a day party late because our flight had gotten in earlier that morning. So we show up to this day party and the little section that we were sitting in was right by the entrance. So everyone that was sitting in any other sections was going to have to pass by us. So we're sitting there and I literally can it's imprinted in my head. I can see it happen right now. Me and the girls are sitting there and there's some distance, obviously, because they're roped off sections, not just anybody can come in. So it's probably 10 or 12 feet away or something. In walks Keith. And I noticed him because I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, he's dressed so like loud. Like he had the chains, he had the sunglasses, he had the like whatever print.
He
of,
played
like,
the part. He came in.
Yes.
Vegas
and I was like, I kind of was like a little bit like, oh my, like I didn't even have time to process it. It was just like, whoa, like that's a little loud. I don't know if obnoxious that went through my head, but maybe like, so before I knew it, he's getting my attention. So I like look over and I'm like, yes. And he's like, I effing love you. And I'm like, he's saying this like kind of like mouthing it, but I can, it's loud. The music's going. And I'm just like, ew, like that's so tacky. Like, ew, who says that? Okay, like keep it moving, whatever. So he walks back and forth a couple times because the bathroom was like you had to go through like walk past our section to even get to the bathroom, things like that. So I see him a couple or more times. Like I had these big sunglasses on. He likes to call them like big screen TVs, basically, like trying to cover my face. He asked me to take them off like one of the times. And I felt like that was like a challenge. Like, oh, you don't think I like am pretty under my sunglasses? So I was just like, this little clown, like, here's my face, and he was just like, like whatever. So we have no interaction outside of this. We go to leave the day party to go to, get ready and go out that night or whatever. And we pass him in leaving. He's coming back in. We're leaving out. And he tries to like grab me, like, wait, I'm on the phone with the Uber. Like, please don't leave me. It's Memorial Day weekend. If you can imagine,
yes.
Like, it's insane.
Chaos.
I'm like, chaos. I'm like, I'm coming, like, whatever. So I'm like, no, like, get away from me, whatever. That was it. We go out that night, me and the girls, like, there was no more Keith Smith. So the next day we go, like each day has their own day party or whatever. So the girls were like, we're going to go to this one. So it's like, okay, we're going to go. We get there and this section that we're going to, Keith is in or next to or whatever. And I see him and I'm like, oh my God, it's this same guy. Like, what are the odds, like, because, Vegas is like, whatever.
There's a lot of options, right?
There's a lot of options. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So, we're there. I'm not talking to him. I'm definitely like, I don't want to say playing hard to get because I didn't have any of that like intention. Like I wasn't trying. It was just like, I don't know him. And like, maybe he doesn't even remember me from, it's Vegas, Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So like maybe he was drunk. So basically we did end up talking that day party. And as I got to talking to him, I was like, oh, he's kind of funny. That was like just the first thing that I remembered. Like he's really funny. Like he's like, I like his humor, his personality, whatever, in this like short encounter or whatever. And then before you know it, like the day party is over. So it's time to leave again. So I go to leave and we're walking out and he like comes up behind me and grabs my arm and he's like, no, you can't leave. Like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, we have to get ready and go to dinner. I was with like 4 or 5 other girls and he was like, I'll take you and your girls to dinner. Like, I just need to get some more time with you. You got away yesterday. And so I looked at the girl, I like look at him, I look at the girls and they're like, free dinner. Like, I mean, they didn't, say that, but
they're like, okay,
that's the look they were giving.
Take us to dinner. Let's see.
So sure enough, we end up going to dinner. He takes us all out to dinner. We're talking. He ends up getting us a section at Dreas that night to like continue like partying, hanging out together, whatever. And he was playing with the Raiders at the time when they were still in California. And so he was actually leaving the next morning to go back to OTAs. So that was pretty much like our encounter, that like short, pretty much a day basically. And so I was just thinking like, I'll never hear from this person again. Or even if I did, like, I just moved to this new city. I don't want to. And at that point, like I found out he played football. So I was like, oh no, I am not trying to be one of these heartbroken stories going viral, like got played by, like, no, thank you. Like, no. And I'm like, I'm not going to run into him like going out on the weekends or like anywhere, the grocery, the gym, like whatever. So I just kind of, I didn't think really twice about it. Well, we had exchanged numbers, and he was just so persistent and consistent and just like knew what he wanted. So here we are 6 years later and 2 kids.
That's awesome. And he's a great guy. He really is.
Thank you.
I love that
he
story.
is.
I think it's sharing that story. It's like, they always say, you know, you meet people when you least expect it. And this is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Because you were just like doing your own thing. Like,
Yep. And I had recently had like a bad breakup, like, and I think that was part of like me like moving away from home, just like, you know, just getting life experiences and everything. So I was not planning on like moving, and then essentially not ever living in Atlanta when I moved to that city, because, and this is why, and I'll just say this part because I started out by saying it was full circle. So I ended up moving out to Oakland, probably like 7 months after, like the end of that year, I ended up moving out there. And so I had moved all the stuff from my apartment, shipped my car, everything like that. We go through the off season, we go back to Oakland for camp. And the last day of camp, he gets released. Hours later, the Falcons call, and and he's on a plane to Atlanta, and we're like, I could have kept my apartment, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, I could have kept all my stuff, like, down there. But yeah, so, and we've been in Atlanta ever since. Thank God.
That is the craziest part, though. But I think at the same time, because when you moved to Cali, you were living with him?
Yes. Yeah, we moved in together.
So like this gave you guys the opportunity to find a place together.
Yes, exactly. We bought our first house here, had both of the babies. Like, this is definitely the city that like it really all, you know, started for us. So it's been a true blessing for sure.
That's awesome. I love that story. Love that story.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to touch on one more subject before we get into the 2-minute drill. And we talked about it a little bit, but I feel like it is different. You know, you being an athlete, the Olympics going by this past summer, and you hearing about, like, I'll give you the example of Simone Biles and kind of what she went through with mental health.
Yeah.
And I feel like as athletes, you know, they talk about the good, or, you know, being tough and persevering and all of these things, but they really don't talk about how important mental health is. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when you think about Simone, you know, 4 years ago, which is crazy, and what she decided to do, she decided to pull out for herself, for her health, like not just mental health, but physical health, right? Yeah. When you heard that and you saw that, what were you thinking as an athlete as well?
I was just like, first of all, Simone to me is like the greatest of all time. Like all of her that she is the GOAT, right? Yes. So it's like, but past that, like, I think she's even more legendary for her choice in pulling out, and she could have said it was anything. Like, she could have faked an injury, or, you know, just like said anything else. But she was so forthright about, like, this is my mental health. Like, this is, I have to go because my mind is not right. Like, something is off. And I feel like she said it 4 years ago. I think same way I was talking about social media, like kind of bringing more normalcy around postpartum. Yes. 4 years ago, even talking about mental health then looks completely different as it does today, because I think of the help of social media and like people like leaders like Simone Biles to like come out and say it and not suffer in silence and not try and hide, you know, behind the fact that like she's genuinely suffering. So for me, I was just like, she was already the GOAT. She was already like the best for all those, you know, all of her talents, but like she took it to like hero level when she did what she did. To me, it was like, that's heroic. That is like real life. The amount of lives that I am sure, like without a shadow of a doubt, that she helped, whether she just helped, whether she like saved. Yes, exactly. Like I'm sure just astronomical.
Yeah, because to your point, when you think about athletes and you think, you know, they're always taught to be tough. Mm-hmm. But what Simone showed is there's toughness and there's strength in realizing that you are not okay. And stepping away is going to help you and make you better. Yep. And a lot of athletes are not taught that. They're taught persevere, push through, try harder, keep going. And she's like, no, there is strength in being still and being vulnerable, and I'm going to show you that. And and then to see her come back this summer in the Olympics
and just absolutely kill it. Oh, I was so happy for her. I was so happy for her. We were at a wedding together last March in Mexico.
Okay.
And that's when I first met her in person, and she was just deciding to come back. And even hearing like the kind of, in my experience of what she was sharing, like unsureness of like, you know, like she knew that she was capable, she could do it. But there was still, and then you even hear about it in her documentary. If like you watch her documentary on Netflix that just came out, that like, you know, she was like, she wanted to, but she was scared. Like, well, you know, are these things going to come back? And are these feeling like, to see her execute so well the way she did at the Olympics? It's like,
girl.
Oh my gosh. She's a legend.
She is a legend. And let me tell you, when I was just like, because she was already my go, I completely understand why she decided not to do it. I completely understood, to your point, when she was like, you know, just I feel good now, but what if it comes back? Like, I completely understood that. But not only did she kill it, but the way she cheered on and championed not just the girls on her team, but other countries.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I know absolutely love her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And this is what we need more of.
Absolutely.
Women like this.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I absolutely loved it. But
yeah,
I think that,
iconic.
you know, and that's why I love, you know, your vulnerability and you being able to talk about what you went through and normalizing it and having these discussions as women, because when you do normalize it, when you do talk about it, you save lives, you help others, you know, you pull them up, and we need to have more of that. So I thank you for even talking about your journey and what you went through. And hopefully there's someone listening that's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I hear what she's saying, you know? So I thank you for doing that. But wait a minute, you're not getting away yet. We have to do the 2-minute drill.
Okay, let's do it. Oh my gosh, I'm scared.
Okay, so 2-minute drills. It's easy breezy. You have 2 minutes and you're just going to do a this or that or fill in the blank.
Okay.
Super easy. Let me pull up the timer.
I love that you do these. It's so fun.
Well, it is. You got to throw a little sports trivia in here and have some fun and get people thinking outside the box. Okay, you ready?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, here we go. And timer starts now. Okay, name your favorite sports team.
The Lakers.
That's very interesting, being on the East Coast. Okay.
Well, I mean, Kobe, like from a young age.
Legend. Period.
Speaking of legends.
I know. Okay, how many yards is it for a first down?
10.
Good. Which 2 franchises won the most Super Bowls?
The Eagles and the Patriots.
Yes, the Patriots, not the Eagles. Though. It was the Steelers. You were so
Steelers.
close. It's like right there. That's good though. Yes. Pittsburgh Steelers and New England Patriots. Okay.
Tom and the Steelers.
There you go. Tell me your favorite place you've ever traveled to.
Bora Bora.
It's on my list.
Oh my gosh.
How many rounds are in the NFL draft?
Oh, I feel like I should know this.
It's a lucky
10.
number.
Not me, you just get thrown. 8. 6.
Lower.
7.
Lucky 7. That's the only way I remembered. Lucky 7. 7.
Maybe if Keith was drafted, I would have known, but undrafted
Tell me your favorite quote.
The one that talks about there's 2 wolves inside of you. Which one wins? The one you feed.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. Tell me your favorite type of workout.
Weightlifting.
Okay. And what's your pet peeve?
Where do I begin? People chewing loud. Not being on time.
Oh gosh, don't get me started there. We have a whole podcast episode on that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, tell me someone you admire.
Somebody I admire. My mom.
Your mom, that's beautiful. If you could tell your younger self anything, the timer's going off. Sorry, let me turn this off. If you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
It's all going to work out.
Amen to that. Okay, last question. What is next for you?
What is next? That's a good question. I think what's next for me is, continuing to just hold it down at home and support the family. Keith has, we're still waiting on a call to figure out where his next job placement is going to be. So, just keeping some normalcy in the family and the routine happening. But we're also in the talks of buying a business potentially. And I would be probably heading that. So we have a couple of things on the radar, but stay tuned.
On the radar, but you're not talking about it yet. I get you. I see what you're saying there. So we're
stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned, and we will follow back up to find out what that is. And that's so exciting. Okay, so I do have one more question. If people want to get a hold of you, Amanda, where do they find you?
All my socials are the same, Amanda Taney, at Amanda Taney. So whether it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anything like that, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to connect with anybody and everybody.
I'll add that in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
It's always fun. Always fun. Yes. So, and you know what? We might do something later on in the year. We'll talk about that later. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, that's our show. For the latest on the Inside Lines podcast, make sure to follow on both Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out the website, insidelinespodcast.com, and listen to your favorite episode. Lastly, check out the YouTube page, Inside Lines Podcast, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when a new episode comes out. And please leave an amazing 5-star review online and let us know who you'd like to hear on Inside Lines Podcast. Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening.